Well, with the Inter-Dominion Carnival up and running, I thought it was a good time to do some reminiscing. It involves this particular gentleman, J.E. Binskin. He wasn't wearing these famous set of silks, the black with the green stars, but another very famous set of silks belonging to Bob and Vin Knight. Of course, the horse was our maestro. The year was 1988, and joining me to do some reminiscing, none other than Darren Binskin. Got to catch up with you, Darren. I still remember that night vividly, 1988. The crowd was overflowing on the famous Glebe circuit, and what a brilliant front-running drive by John Binskin.
Yes, he was. Dad was very hard to beat in front. If he got the lead, it wouldn't matter what race it was, whether it was a maiden or the Inter-Dominion. It was very hard for him to get round, and he never used to panic, and that was the key to his driving.
And in those days, Darren, the winning margin didn't count. You didn't get paid on a winning margin, you got paid on the result, and there was no better front-running driver than John. And that particular driver with our maestro, challenged early for the lead by Palomar, and then Bag Limit had no luck whatsoever. Vinny's drive in that particular race. You contested the event with Karate Gift. You were three back in the running line. How was you travelling at that particular time?
Going to the start, he made a break. Vinny gave me a chain he used to wear to stop him pulling, and it actually snapped going to the gate, nearly caused a false start. Probably unsettled my horse. At one stage I thought I was a chance, just run out of gas when he hit the top of the straight, but he plugged on good. But the winner was way too good, and the drive by Dad was exceptional.
The crowd on that particular night, Darren, just went wild for the local hero.
Yeah, my grandfather was there. It actually was his birthday, and Dad won on my grandfather's birthday, so it was a special moment for the family, not only winning, but to do it on his grandfather was a really great thing.
When did you know John had won the race? Pulling up, or did you hear it over the PA system? And what was your reaction when you did?
Well, just after the post, I went up and shook Dad's hand. I could see him hanging in front and just holding on, and I thought, well, he's definitely won. Then past the line, I shook his hand, and it was a very special moment.
Certainly, Palomar ran second, driven by the late Michael Ilsley, and your good mate Tiff's Mystery and David Aiken finished third.
Yeah, David got a really good economical run. Palomar was a very good run because it pulled out and worked forward. It might have been a little unlucky, but no, it was the right finish how they worked out.
Very emotional scenes just before and during the presentation.
Yeah, my mother was there, Dad, my grandfather, me and Vinny, even Bobby Knight, and it was just something that Dad deserved to achieve before he retired, and he was lucky enough for it to happen.
Interesting, it was his one and only drive on our Maestro. Up until then, Vinny Knight did the bulk of the driving. In fact, Bob Knight had his first drive with our Maestro when he made his debut, a winning one at Kilmore on June the 5th, 1986. Then you finished our Maestro's career with 3 heat performances at Globe Derby.
Yeah, that's right. He done a suspensory, and at the time we had this special leg treatment that could repair him. He probably had a ordinary preparation coming into it and probably was going okay at the start. Then he slowed it, beat it off. But he was such a beautiful horse, our Maestro. He's a stallion, but you'd never know. He'd never whinny. But he was just a nature's gentleman.
Darren, had you not qualified Karate Gift, would you have driven our Maestro?
Well, previously, before the series started, Vinny had told me that I'd be driving our Maestro because he'd be driving Bag Limit. And then a month before, I got offered Karate Gift back, and I love that horse, so I took him back, and I missed out, and Dad won.
1986, you did go around with Karate Gift, finishing 4th at Albion Park in the Inter-Dominion.
Yeah, he went really good in the heats. He held the Inter-Dominion mile record for about 10 years. He went 155.4, and I beat Bag Limit in the first heat. Then he won the next heat, beat One Dollar's Mate. I wasn't very popular because he was the golden horse in Queensland. And then history was in the third heat, I got beaten nose, and Anne Frawley, now Anne James, was the first woman to win a heat of the Inter-Dominion.
Then we move over to 1990s. We've mentioned the drives with our Maestro, but you did pick up a drive in the final with Jane Ellen, which finished 4th.
Yeah, Howard James got really lucky. I know he gave me a bit of a serve on one of these interviews, so I'm going to return serve. So what happened, we worked Jane Ellen and Rockley Victory Breakfast with the Stars, and Janey just pulled up to an absolute walk. And if you watch the race, everyone can't wait to get off the fence. They didn't want to follow Jane Ellen because she'd worked so bad. And Howard was the beneficiary of everyone that knew how it worked, and they all pulled off. So it was the drive of the century by Howard, but there was a few little other things in play there.
Well, we now refer to him to Howard James Drive of the last century.
No, Howard deserved it because he's such a good horseman, and he looked after Thorate like it was his own child, and he deserved it.
And you went over to 1997, two runners, JJG, which finished down the tail of the field, which you drove, and Rainbow Night finishing second, only beaten the nose by our Sir Vance like Lisa Justice in the sulky.
Yeah, I actually, he just passed away, one of the owners just recently, Joe Carbone, and he said halfway through the series, he said, this horse is not going to be ready. I said, he'll be ready on the night, and he was 40-1, and he only just got beat a nose.
Yeah, you nearly spoiled harness racing into Dominion history.
Yeah, maybe that camera angle might be bad. We never got to see the photo finish, so there might be a little discrepancy.
Darren, as a youngster growing up, what's your best inter-Dominion memory?
Hondo Grattan by far and away. Hondo Grattan was my favourite horse. And the funny story is, Hondo Grattan and Paleface were parading before the Inter-Dominion in Sydney, and I patted Hondo Grattan on the face, and then our maestro walked past and I patted him, so I think I might have given him a bit of a leg up.
Well, you better be patting Terry because he's going all right. We're going to be talking about him in a moment, but current Inter-Dominions, Darren, once again, your fondest memory?
Oh, look, I'm a harness racing tragic. I like them all. All them horses, like Shaker Maker's such a beautiful animal. Brian Gaff's drive, and Brian could do marvellous things. Horses like that, you really can't separate them all. When you watch them, when the best horse wins, usually the Inter-Dominion, and they've got through all the series, and the trainers have been, how they can get them through sometimes is amazing.
Well, you've done a wonderful job with Terry, and he did a wonderful job in his heat, running second to Captain's Knock with Josh Gallagher. You would have been delighted with that performance.
He overachieved a bit. I think, Mick. We didn't pay much for him, and he seems to have just clicked with our stable routine, and he just keeps getting better. I don't know where it's going to stop. Hopefully, not yet.
Why aren't you driving Terry this particular series?
To be honest, I think the younger guys, Josh was driving him for me here a few times, and he's done such a great job. Why take him off? He's formed a good bond with him, and I think horses just know if someone clicks with them, I think why change? And now I still love driving, but I think you just got to sometimes concede to the younger drivers if they're in form. You're better off putting someone in form. I don't get a lot of drives, so yeah, go with the informed drivers.
Bathurst Wednesday night, Terry's drawn nicely, but he's up against Max Delight, Don Hugo, and Can't Find a Better Man.
Yeah, Can't Find a Better Man was off the screen the other night. Max Delight went very good. District Attorney, Grimo can turn him around pretty quick, so we're just hoping we can qualify. He seems to pull up good, and if he continues on the upward, who knows, he might even get in the Inter-Dominion and run a place.
Darren, I didn't realise until you walked away from me last Saturday night when we were having a bit of a chat about this particular interview, and you walked past your dad's beautiful tribute here, and you stopped, paused, and put your hand on the frame. We look at these photos and stories and silks, I do on a regular basis, and still marvel at these greats of harness racing. There must be so many mixed emotions for you. One, overwhelming pride of what your dad achieved. As father and son, you couldn't get much closer than you and JE. But there must be all these emotions are mixed when you see his colours, you see his photo and his story.
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, but anyone that's been close to their parents could see how it is.
Well, Darren, thanks for joining us and reminiscing in particular about 1988. The great man, Darren Binskin. I did tip the winner on that particular occasion. Don't say it's the last winner I tipped, but I still remember it. I watched the race again this morning, still sends shivers up the spine.